All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a crazy, crazy show. Of course, we're going to talk about, briefly going to mention what we just got over on news. Got to go check out that video if you haven't, our sister channel, Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over. So just to give you kind of a hint of what we're going to be going over today, we're going to be talking about, of course, U.S. intelligent EMP this year. That's what they are saying, right? We are going to be talking about Japan Mafia selling weapons-grade plutonium and why this matters. What did they just give the fire departments, at least the Georgia fire departments, just recently? We're going to talk about, of course, U.S. Navy chief in Japan got in trouble for espionage charge. Coincidence? Probably not. And then, of course, U.S. nuke fails again. We, of course, have, let's see here. We've got passenger goes nuts on a plane for like the 20th time, tries to do something. We'll tell you about that here in a second. Hypersonic strike again. And, of course, we have, there is no reason to hide it. We are all allowed to what we wish. That's a quote from Iran. We're going to go over what they just said along with that. Moon lander reaches orbit and touchdown is supposedly tomorrow. So we have a ton, including the Amazon driver video. We will be showing you that. It is absolutely nuts. The back end of the truck was demolished. The video is absolutely crazy. So we'll go over all of this today on Marfoogle TV. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Earth went dark. It was a bright day when the earth went dark. All right, we have so much today. It is going to be a packed show in a short amount of time, so you really don't want to blink even. Let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we'll go over that video at the very end. First of all, we're going to talk about, we're over to NATO. U.S. warns allies Russia could put a nuclear weapon into orbit this year. So they're giving dates now. This is, okay, you guys know we've covered all of this crazy stuff over the last month and a half. This is, these are events and things that we said were going to happen. And by we, I mean the whole community. We've been watching this for 5 years, and now all of a sudden that it's happening, now Legacy Media is covering it. Now, of course, since Legacy is covering it, nobody believes it. But essentially, there is a purpose for all of this, why people theorized for years that things like this would happen, because this would bring along a great change in a very short amount of time. You're talking about changing the structure of the planet, like a Rome falls and someone takes their place almost immediately. But U.S. is warning allies that Russia will put a nuke into space within the year. That is assuming that they didn't already put it up on February 9th when that mysterious launch happened. And then 5 days later, it was Valentine's Day. The U.S. Basically put out this information right after a mysterious launch and said, oh, by the way, we're going to be launching a top secret payload today as well. And this is going to be something that can detect this kind of stuff. As far as now they're telling us within the year they will have it, right? Or do they just not want to say that they absolutely know what that launch was? And are they not trying to say out loud, we already know? Or is this to Russia? Is this a message to Russia saying, we know you already have it there, and Russia knows that they're full of crap, and they're saying within the year they'll have it? Or is it complete BS in the first place? And are they just trying to scare people? Most people go to the latter because really nobody believes anything coming out anymore. But you have to remember, a lot of these things are predicted before they happen. They put out in plain writing what's about to go down a lot of the times. Dex, do you want to talk about how they want to say within a year? Why are they even putting a time frame on this?
Well, yeah, that's the crazy part. So they're now putting it in the year time frame. They still won't call it an EMP. They just call it a nuclear weapon that is going to mess up the outer orbit, and everything up there won't work because they're going to detonate a nuke in space. But they just won't acknowledge the fact that there's consequences to that down on Earth. I don't know why they're downplaying it. They do it every single time. But here we have a date. They're giving us a date. They're saying this year. They expect it to be in orbit this year. I think it's already in orbit. They knew what was launching with that last Ministry of Defense launch on the 9th. They probably detected something, and they don't want to talk about it. And they don't want to admit to everyone that they finally detected, the signatures of a warhead. It doesn't have to be big. It actually has to be really, really small to be just as effective in space as well as from an EMP point of view. And that EMP will, have devastating effects to those underneath, depending on what part of the globe it goes off in. That could be Europe, that could be America, that could be both, that could be multiple detonations. I do know one thing, they can't do them back to back because the way the magnetosphere works is you have to let it reset. It's sort of like ringing the bell. And once the bell's been rung, you have to wait. So you won't see EMPs back to back in minutes. You'll see them over days. They have to let it reset, and then they can fire another one.
Well, so if you joined us for our other video, we talked about information from the Foogle fam specifically. We did remove all of the identifiers as far as different numbers, different places and things that would basically be able to say, hey, all of those things are this one person. But we did put out all of the important stuff. Georgia, all of their engines just got these radiological devices. FEMA gave it to them, didn't give them any instructions, just said, here's how to turn it on, here's how to turn it off, here's how to charge it, and essentially said, if this starts going off, hightail out of there. Even their hazmat team, the people that run their actual hazmat team, questioned and were baffled why they were given this in the first place and why did every engine get this, right? The hazmat team was like, whoa, that's kind of extreme. So we did a call out to the rest of the Foogle fam. We're thinking it's definitely more than Georgia. Think about this in the context of tonight's news. We're about to cover, another piece here. So with that being said, these devices will detect radiological devices or dirty boom booms, everything else kind of like that. Why are they giving them now? This is after a week and a half after a huge warning to all of our sheriffs, all of our police, saying that it's not just going to be one event here, one event there. They are actually thinking that if there's an event that goes off, it's going to be in every city across the country. This actually makes a whole lot of sense. We are now in this whole conflict back and forth. The pipelines in Iran just had that happen. They're accusing we're on Israel's side on that. Iran has made direct threats towards us, our former prez, everything else. And of course, our former president actually took out Soleimani, one of their main generals, and said when he was in president, when he took out Soleimani, he said that they had a plan to hit America. And it was such a big thing that it would have made 2001 look like chicken feed. Like it was not an event, like nothing compared to what they had planned. And that's why they said they took out Soleimani. So remember that. The second in command, they also tried to strike him on that day. They missed him. They did not take him out. I believe that he may have been taken out since then, but you're basically, it just would pass down to the next person. That plan didn't die with Soleimani. Again, this is something that sounds like is cemented in their culture, and they really do not like us. Now, and as far as that goes, They're talking about a nationwide event. Everybody doesn't want to believe in this, but if this does happen, look at the setup right now. Look at how the framework is there for it. If you've been watching what's going on, it's kind of crazy because you're going, holy crap, this could be not only real, it looks like it's actually being, put together. All of the people from all of our adversarial countries coming in, 18 to 25-year-old males, even in our territories like Guam, the bases having properties bought up like crazy by adversarial countries right next to our bases. And then, of course, the way that we're drilling, the way that our military is drilling. They are practicing to land on highways in all of our allied countries as if all of our, military airfields are going to be taken out. You only land on a highway if you don't have an airfield to land on, right? Why would you not have an airfield? Well, you wouldn't have one because somebody took it out. Not to mention now there's all of this talk about several electronic warfare weapons that can stop our jamming, stop our radar from detecting attacks. They believe, or they say in these claims, that they could essentially screw up all of the defensive measures of all of our aircraft carriers. Speaking of which, 5 of our aircraft carriers just deployed to South China Sea, and people still aren't going, that's a lot of aircraft carriers. In 93 or 94 or whatever, it was when Bill Clinton was president, back when China was first doing this whole thing with Taiwan, they sent like 3 carrier groups, and that was to do a show of force. They just sent 5, and nobody's talking about it. By the way, back then, when they didn't have the largest navy in the world, China backed down. So I don't know if that's why they're hoping to do it, but all of this talk of nukes in space, nuclear stuff down here, threats to our country, civil conflict, all of this, infiltration at every level, at state level, Dragon Day style stuff. The feds charge Japanese Yakuza leader with nuclear materials trafficking. If there's any truth to any of this, and I know that people are really hard up to believe anything that comes out of AP, CNBC, CNN, whatever it is. In fact, it's better because this isn't a CNN exclusive. You pretty much know that they are in the pocket, and when it comes out of them, that it's like they went to the White House and they're like, can you say this, this, and this? CNBC, probably along those same lines too, but again, not as bad. I swear, every exclusive comes out of CNN that's really bad. This one is a real deal. As far as law enforcement officers talked about this, law enforcement officers were messaging about this, saying this is insane. This is something that's a huge, huge deal. Federal prosecutors in New York on Wednesday said that they had charged a Japanese Yakuza leader with conspiring to traffic nuclear materials from Burma to other countries. Prosecutors said they accused gangster Takashi Ibusawa and his confederates showed samples of nuclear materials in Thailand to an undercover agent from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. With the, quote, assistance of Thai authorities, the nuclear samples were seized and subsequently transferred to the custody of U.S. law enforcement. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan said that the statement announcing the indictment against Ibusawa and another man. So this is happening at the same time. We're getting emails saying that they FEMA just randomly handed out radiological devices to all of the fire departments and told them, hey, turn this on when you go to places. If it starts going off, hightail out of there. And not saying anything else. That's pretty creepy if you ask me. Dex, the Yakuza, that I didn't expect to see that in the news.
Yeah, that's an organized crime gang from Japan. But yes, that's the fact that they actually tested it, and it is weapons grade plutonium and uranium that's being peddled. That's kind of a scary thought. And when you think about that, this is just one instance, just the one they caught. You know this is happening in lots of different areas. You know this is all around the world. It may not be in the millions, but it's going to be in some number that's quantifiable. Any number greater than 1 is all we need to have some sort of event that's going to affect us. And that's what's so scary about this.
A U.S. nuclear forensic laboratory later analyzed the samples and confirmed that the samples contained uranium and weapons-grade plutonium, the statement said. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said it is impossible to overstate the seriousness of the conduct alleged in today's indictment. So the guy was moving around nuclear materials. This is stuff you could make a dirty boom boom with. This is what people are watching out for right now. Like, there's something's gonna pop. And 99% of people will be completely sideswiped by this. All right, before we get back into the serious stuff, let's go to the chat. Let's say hi. First of all, it is a crazy world, but if you don't like scary movies, probably already scared you, but don't watch scary movies. If you don't watch jump scare movies, then don't watch this show, okay? Because today is full of jump scares as far as this goes, because this is what's happening. This is our world right now, and this is news from a prepper standpoint, so we're going to talk about some serious issues. But before that, let's have a fun time and do a quick roll call. What is going on, guys? And it's nice to have everybody here. Looks like we have so many great people here. Kenny Cams, hey, what is going on? Kathy Paina, we've got Matt Burgess, we've got Truth Iris, Uncle Iro, what is happening? We've got Comet Moon from OHIO. And Vic, Annalie Love, we've got Carmine Petraka, we've got James McGowan from the Philippines, that's awesome. Inquiring Minds, Charles May from Missouri, we have Southfield, we have Alabama, what is happening? Nacho Man Randy Sandwich. Queen BTP, Rose Shomelin from San Mateo. Nice, beautiful place. And then People's Republic of Trudeau. Matt Gillespie. I just tweeted a video. You should go check that video. I think it's like 3 tweets back. Exodus, Brother Speed, him saying that it was better back when everybody just watched MSM, when there was 2 channels, CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Network, and whatever else, and says that the internet's ruined people and now everybody believes something crazy. Yeah. Let's see here. Sky House, we've got Susie Watkins, Iliad. What is happening? We're invaded fully. Again, it's pretty crazy. At least it doesn't look good. Vic, General Sherman Tree, James Dameron, what's going on? Darth Izzy, North New Mexico here. Denellen, Florida. Thor Odinson is here. What is happening? Nice. We've got Craig Alicious, and then Craig Alicious says 3 X-Class flares in 2 weeks. Yeah, I know. Wages is watching it for us. If you're not subscribed, we also keep track of not only the solar events. We always have Wages come on. He's our guest speaker about that. He is following it very closely, and you can find his channel over on marfooglenews.com/friends. Along with all of the great mods, remember to thank your mods. They do an awesome job. They're a great part of the community, so make sure to go show some love to their channels. All right, and then Dex, let's see here. The Navy chief charged with espionage. What the heck? So you got
and
Yakuza
yet another
Japan chief.
And yet another Japan connection. Now this guy is from the U.S. Navy, but was a Navy chief, and he was on a Japan stationed ship. And he is facing espionage charges and other criminal charges over allegations that he delivered classified information to foreign contact in 2022 and 2023. So Chief Fire Controlman Bryce Stephen Pedisny faces 8 espionage charges, specifications for alleged crimes that occurred between those dates, according to the copy of the charge sheet. So he's the first sailor to be charged with espionage in at least the past 5 years, according to the Navy's Office of the Judge Advocate General. So what exactly is going on here? Not a lot of detail is going to come out, other than he's accused of delivering classified national defense documents to a, quote, citizen and employee of a foreign government. So we don't know anything more than that. They, quote, have a reason to believe that it would be used to the injury of the United States and to the advantage of this foreign nation. So they're not going to give a lot of details. They wrap this up, handle it inside their own, their own process, their own court system, Judge Advocate General. But, here we got another espionage case, this time in Japan. And I'm not sure which country is giving it to. I don't think it would necessarily be Japan, but it could be, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. My guess is it's someone else over in that Pacific region.
Maybe it's a dude in Thailand who just bought him some grade A plutonium. All right, and then thank you, Stephen McMahon. I'm sorry that you I hope you can listen at work. I don't know, a lot of I forget what you do, but A lot of people listen if they have a job where they can listen to a podcast and things, they listen. Off to work. Love y'all. Keep it on a swivel. For sure. Thank you, Steven, and thanks for stopping by. Sorry for the late show tonight. There was so much stuff happening today. Grace for you too. Thank you. Says, how's it going? Hey, nice to see you. As far as the Navy chief, as far as all of the stuff that just went down, the space weapons. So many people are talking about as far as these event goes. So what is, what does all of this mean? First of all, there's nobody that's going to be able to tell you 100% what's about to happen. But it really, really is lining up to look like they want to turn the lights out. They want to put the earth in the dark for a little bit, to put us in a room in the dark and say, are you afraid of the dark? Oh, sorry. And then when we come out, they'll go, do you not want us to turn the light off again? Okay, well, you're going to have to do this, this, and this. That's what it feels like, at least. What does it feel like to you? What do you think is going to happen? As far as if you're a military member, what do you think they would do first? Do you think they're going to go do an attack? Or do you think they're going to turn the lights off and the power and communications off? I don't know. It's kind of 101 for the first attack. Before we move on, if you want to protect yourself against EMP or even a CME from the sun, again, like Craig Alicious says, 3 X-class flares in 2 weeks. Luckily, we did not have any craziness hit us directly. But again, marfugglenews.com/EMP. You can protect your vehicles, your trucks, motorcycles, boats, everything else. Again, you can also protect your generators, your gas generators, even your solar generator in the case of the Flex 1500. They make a device directly for this that will protect that. Go to marfugglenews.com/EMP, and they are often running out of the bigger one. If they don't, remember, you can always get the micro. It's a quarter of the size. It's all the same protection. And it is, again, 78% smaller. And it's very easy to put in. The same strategy as the big one. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground are a part of your frame. And it will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it fries your device. That can withstand multiple EMP strikes or even a Carrington-level event from the sun. marfugglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll get $50 off per device. It stacks on top of any sale they have, and you help support our independent channel. We are completely on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network, and we don't have a multi-billion-dollar corporation behind us. We have the Foogle fam. Thank you, guys. Dex, let's go over let's briefly touch the actual intel that came in from the firefighter, and let's talk about Georgia real quick. I know we've already pretty much said all of it, but you want to show this to the new audience that did not watch the video?
Yeah, so this is the intel that came in from a person in the fire department. So the message is, I work for one of the largest fire and EMS service departments in Georgia, and have for many years. They actually gave us a lot of background on who they were. We did not want to, put all that in here, but they also said that they wanted to pass along some information that is rather interesting given the events that are going on. He said approximately 2 months ago, every fire engine and it was a significant amount, I'm not going to name it because it might be obvious to figure out who they are, was given radiological hazard meters to detect radiation. These were provided to us by FEMA. We were not told more than how to turn them on, turn them off, charge them, and if they start beeping, then there's radiation and we need to leave the area immediately. He said even their existing hazmat team was sort of baffled as to why they were given all of these units. So they basically outfitted every engine, every group, all of it across from FEMA, and didn't give them any explanation, came in, didn't give them any training other than how to turn it on, turn it off, and plug it in, and said, if you hear it beep, get out. So they're going to provide us more information as they find it, or other things that may be going on. The interesting thing we were trying to figure out is, does this happen anywhere else, or is it specific to Georgia? Is there something they're planning? Is there, by the way, there's not like, we don't have a nuclear plant here. I would expect this probably on engines and engine crews up, near a nuclear power plant or in an area like that, or if you had a big, so there's got to be places where it makes sense, but this isn't necessarily, something that we expect to see outside of what they've warned us about, which are these potential threats that are coming, either coming across the border or, as they like to tell us, internally, they being the departments of the government that, put out all this information. So take it for what it's worth, but at the same time, they rushed it in. That's what we were talking about. There's a very great video over on Marfoogle News. I know Adam's already mentioned it. It's a perfect one for you to grab and share. It's super short, concise, all the important details you need. So even if you know this right now, but you think it's good for somebody in your family, your friends, or anyone else you know, go grab that video and share it out, because it is a great introduction to what is potentially happening, and it'll help us spread the word. 'Cause we're trying to find out if this is happening in other engine companies around the US, or is this isolated to this one group here in Georgia.
And that way you don't have to share the 2-hour show, and say, oh, go to 25 minutes and 30 seconds, that video is very concise. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but all of our news shorts, we've been trying to make super concise, beginning, end, cutting it when it's done, trying to not waste any of your time, make it as efficient as possible. So thank you guys for those of you who've messaged and have noticed the extra work that we put in on top of everything else that we've always done, like the bibliography and everything else. But we appreciate you guys noticing all of the stuff that we're doing. So thank you. Really nice and kind words from a lot of you. Couldn't say thank you enough. And thank you for the another message yesterday that I really thought was sweet was someone specifically wrote a prayer for many of our mods, specifically, and remembered things about issues in some of the mods families from 2 or 3 years ago, and put it into writing and put that out there. So I thought that was very thoughtful. That means that they didn't want any attention. They didn't want it to be read. They just did it to do it. So there's a lot of really sweet people in the Foogle fam. You guys have always been absolutely amazing. So thank you guys, and thank you for sharing us out. I really do appreciate the only way we are growing at all is you guys. It's not, this is any independent media that's not, jumping on bandwagons. They are not shared. They're not, they don't go viral unless there is something there. So thank you guys. It's all through the people. It's a viewer powered channel. I appreciate it. Florida coast, a British nuclear missile launch failed for the second time in a row, yet another embarrassment for the Royal Navy. They've been having a lot of setbacks lately. We covered a couple weeks ago that they had ships out, Navy ships out that didn't even have, surface to surface missiles, right? Yeah, it was sea to surface missiles. Essentially, they didn't have the ability to hit targets on land. It was pretty bad. And they addressed it. They said, well, we need to switch some ships out. But they were taking over for US, and it's like they were in a position where they couldn't actually defend themselves depending on what happens. So that was pretty bad. Not to mention they've had their own shortfalls. They've had their own budget issues. They say that different places over there are now falling into a recession, not only with different folks over there, different countries, and Japan and all of these other places that are obviously reeling from a post-CV world. But now the Royal Navy is having one embarrassment after another. The test firing of a British nuclear missile from the Royal Navy submarine failed for the second time in a row. So it says the Trident II ballistic missile crashed into the sea close to the launch site off the coast of Florida. So, Dex, I thought it was kind of interesting. And I get we work really closely together. They do a lot of stuff. I just thought it was interesting. They've got their Royal Navy testing their nuclear missiles over here. Right?
Yeah, the only thing that made sense to me is they are ours in the sense that they're made by, I can't remember if it's Lockheed or Northrop who makes the Trident. It's one of them, but it's, they're US made. So there are Tridents and they just deploy them, and Lockheed makes them, Lockheed Martin. So I'm just wondering if they're testing them over here for that purpose, but seems like we're not having a lot of luck with the Tridents, whether we've launched them or they've launched them. I don't know if the Trident was the one that we had a problem with on the West Coast. It was a Minuteman, I believe, was that last one. But nonetheless, these missiles, this is our old, platform. It's not like we've got a new platform. We've got ancient stuff, especially when it comes to our Minuteman. They're really old platforms. So, but as far as the British goes, man, they're not batting anywhere near 1,000 right now. They're looking pretty bad when it comes to getting their carriers rolling out, not having the right equipment when they were in the Red Sea to even be effective and help out. to here they've had two failures of launches of nuclear tridents.
Meanwhile, even the Pentagon is covering, and press releases from the Pentagon are saying China keeps having these firsts, and they keep, just growing and growing and growing. They keep having all of these advancements, and the Pentagon is admitting that they are having all of these successes in different technologies, different launches, different firsts of their kind. Like the hypersonic craft that launched another hypersonic craft from space, then hit within very, very close to its target, and we didn't detect it until after it hit its target. It went around the world once, and then it shot another hypersonic object that hit its target without us even knowing. Meanwhile, pretty much we are the ones that are going to carry everybody else. We are the toughest. The groups and countries that are supposed to be somewhat close, or not even close, but they should have good militaries considering their position in the world. They're nowhere close. They're just having one problem after the next. Can it catch up with two of the biggest countries that are already set as major superpowers? It's basically the U.S. versus the world. If you look at the numbers, it's nuts. They only have 75,000 troops as well. I mean, yeah. Hopefully everybody vies together. That's why they're adding to NATO, or at least that's what they say. And then Chicago, wild moment that American Airlines passenger was tackled by flyers and put into zip ties after, get this, trying to open a plane door mid-flight. What message or bone conduction message is going into people's heads where they're trying to open the door? This is literally a pattern. We have covered so many of these, and maybe they just didn't cover them before. I don't know if there's any statistician that has actually put stats forward on this, but there have been a ton of these just recently. Specifically, crazy people trying to open the door on a plane while they're in flight or while they're on the tarmac. What the hell is going on? Dex, you know that three of these, you remember it was three of these ago where I said, man, it almost seems like a pattern that this is happening. Now, 3 later, we're covering another one. You remember when I said it was a pattern back before, when it was like 4 or 5?
Oh yeah, certainly. I'm trying to look up right now, like how many it's been. It seems like there's been so many of these people trying to open the door. I know easily it's 3 or 4 or 5 because I know we've talked about a handful, but it just seems like it's happening so much more and more lately ever since, you know, everybody started flying again. It just seems, and it's not just the doors. Doors are part of it, but the craziness that's going on the planes. And it's not like all of a sudden we have cell phones and we can see it. No, we've had cell phones for years. They've had videos on planes for years. It's just all of a sudden people are acting crazy on planes, and they're not even getting too drunk either. It's not like they're serving them up tons of alcohol. These plane rides are short, and a lot of them hold it back. I know some of them have said that, but nonetheless, it just seems like there's a pattern of something going on here with passengers on planes that are acting in crazy ways.
Well, and like the lizard lady, right? Says, oh, that guy's not real. He's not here. What is going on? And then she seems completely normal off the plane and outside. Now she's like using it to take advantage of her meme fame to launch a career off of it. When you hear her, she talks completely normal. She doesn't even sound annoying. It's like a different person was on that plane. What the heck is happening up in the sky? Is there something in the sky? Is the air filters up there? Is there something up there that's making people kooky? I know that sounds crazy, but think about it. Think about all of the weird things that are happening up there. It's weird. Who wants to open a freaking door on a plane unless they have a wish to go? That's just crazy. And why is it happening all this much? And then you have all sorts of weird events happening in the sky with planes almost missing each other, all sorts of issues. The pilot that said that he got the clear to go on the runway, and they they said that from the tower, they said, no, we told him to hold. We told him to wait. Afterwards, he said, no, you guys told me to go and to ride onto the runway. And they take the official audio and they're like, no, he said to hold. So where did that guy get this message or this voice saying, oh yeah, go out on the runway, one way, whatever? He gave specifics when he said it. So like, where is this voice coming from that's telling the guy to go onto the taxi the runway? It just seems really, really odd. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I bet most of you would jump up and do the same thing. They grabbed him. They hogtied the guy. I don't know if it was a guy. I shouldn't say guy. It was probably a man or a woman. But there's so many of them. I get them confused now. Schaefer Girl says, happy birthday, Dex James. Lots of hugs and kisses and cake. Definitely cake. Dex, happy birthday again. We were going to do that at the end. And this is his birthday week. So again, happy birthday to Dex. It's not technically over the next 3 days. If you guys want to say happy birthday to Dex, I think that would be appropriate. And then Neil Nelson, thank you. Schaefer Girl. And Dex, do you want to say the year? Because I'm not gonna put you on blast.
Sure, I'm turning 50.
It's a huge one.
It's a big one. Yeah, it's a big number. I feel good about it. I'm excited. I know it's the half a century. So
insert over the hill jokes here. So my family, how we do 40s and 50s is like they do it big. Like my aunt ended up doing like a poker party for her 40. This is like 20 years ago now, but she did a huge poker party, had tables brought in like from a service. She rented poker tables and people to do the dealing. And it was like not, real money. It was fake money. But everybody was given these party chips and everybody could, go play roulette and stuff. And it was over the hill themed and everything. So a lot of our family, they go big on 40 and 50. Those are the two really big ones. So, I mean, it's a big thing. YOLO. So you got to do it big on those days. How many of you guys celebrated your 40 and 50 big? Or did you do nothing? I just had my other friend who turned 40. He basically hung out with just a few of us and we all had our kids and had a great time just hanging out. So depends on what you do. Schaefer Girl, Neil Nelson, thank you, and thank you for your support. Appreciate you guys. And Schaefer Girl, you've been on so long now. Thank you. Same with Neil Nelson. Thank you guys for continuing to show up to almost every show. All right, and then let's go over to Ukraine. Russia deploys experimental Zircon missile in Ukraine twice. Dex, so we've talked about the supposed Zircon launches, right? Now they've said that they've launched two of them.
Yeah, that's correct. So they're looking at the I guess the remnants of what's left to determine that it is the Zircons. And they've said now it's been fired twice in February. So these are the alleged hypersonic missiles. Now, what's
they look
interesting,
like car
though,
parts.
yeah, they do. What's interesting though is they being I believe it's coming from UKR, is claiming that they're not necessarily reaching the high speeds that they claim. And I don't know that they have to, depending on how far they're really going. But they say this anti-ship missile Zircon does not fly at speeds of 8 to 9 Machs, around 10,000 kilometers per hour, as claimed by the Russians. Relevant services stated that during the final stage of its flight, the missile reached a speed of only 2,500 kilometers per hour. So that's a significantly less than the stated 10,000 kilometers per hour. So I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's just, rhetoric being thrown out there to try to downplay the significance of these now being used against them. But it also goes back to the point that we've said all along. They have not been using their most expensive equipment. They have not been, they being Russia, have not been putting forward the top of the line. They've been using everything else that they can get away with, and they've been successful at doing it. So they could withhold this. I think they may be doing this for testing. If they were really trying to make hay, they would be firing more than two of them. So this is probably just, hey, let's make sure they're working in the real world outside of testing, we can put it into real um, real production and see what happens. And that's probably what they did. I'm guessing. I don't know. We don't know anything other than what gets reported. Both sides of this conflict has a lot of you know resistance around the media and programming as to what they want to say and how they want to say it. So we have to take it all with huge grains of salt.
Noticed a couple things here. I don't know if this is on purpose, but it's like these bolts are all the same, and then you've got like one tiny bolt. Like, is that on purpose? Maybe it's because it's no, because this one has. I thought maybe there would be two smaller bolts here. You see over on some of these things, it's like I don't know. This looks like a brake pad or a brake disc. This looks like an exhaust with extra metal popped around it. They all look similar to. This looks like I don't know, like a transmission or something, or what do they? That gosh, I'm forgetting the. No, not the gearbox. It looks like something straight out of a car. You never know though. And then this looks like microchips, soldered microchips, like or some sort of like almost like something you'd pop into a PC. But yeah, this is the supposed proof of it. What do you guys think? Obviously, now also there was a story we didn't put in because it just was. It was a salacious headline, but there wasn't a lot of substance to it. But essentially, a lot of the media is saying that Russia is winning, that Russia is about to win this war against Ukraine. It's like that's what everyone has said since the beginning, that there's no way Ukraine could win unless either somebody steps in or we straight up, everybody gives their stuff directly to them and essentially they're fighting somebody else anyways. Ukraine by themselves would have already been out of the game in the first week if it was not for people stepping in, countries stepping in and giving them stuff. That's just a fact. Ukraine has admitted that. I mean, they didn't have their own jets. They didn't have their own launchers. They didn't have their own. They had very few vehicles. They had very few of everything. And now they're having problems with troops. They've lost a lot of their troops. Their average age is like 44 for their troops. That means all of the young guys have perished. All the frontline guys are all gone. And then they've grabbed people off the street multiple times. Now there's videos going viral, and who knows the validity of it, but I sort of believe it. They're grabbing people that don't want to go to war, and they're literally snatching them up and putting them in a van and pulling them away from their families and saying, hey, you're drafted, which that's what happens when there's a draft. They've blocked the borders because everybody tried to flee. People did flee. There's a couple people that actually do YouTube videos that fled the country, and essentially they were, running from the draft. So what happens if they beat Ukraine? Or have they already beat Ukraine? And now they're telling us that they're guaranteed to attack the Baltic states. Is it all a bunch of fluff? I guess we'll see. And then Iran delivers hundreds of ballistic missiles to Russia as Ukrainian defense falters. So Iran has given apparently hundreds of ballistic missiles to Moscow. And here's the thing. What do they get in return? So everybody worries about them getting money because they spend that money on, Hamas or terror cells. And now they either have a bunch of money or, like North Korea trading with Russia, they could be trading for nuclear gear. They could be trading for nuclear missiles. They could be trading for all sorts of stuff. We don't know exactly what they are getting out of the deal. But it says most of the 400 missiles Iran has delivered are from the Fatah 110 family of short-range ballistic armaments. Fatah 110s are easily transportable by road and can strike targets up to 435 miles away. So that's not, that's a pretty long distance if you consider a lot of the S-300s and all the other crazy things that are put into play, the older ones. And then Russian and Iranian officials came to an agreement on the missile deal in December, and shipments began in early January, according to 6 sources who spoke to Reuters. And again, it seems like they're upping the number of sources that they've talked to. It's like, They have 6 people willing to talk about confidential information. And unless the government wants us to know this, which that's also the case most of the time, that means 6 people are essentially giving up information that's top secret, and they're being treasonous. If the government said, "Hey, give the news this," hand them a note, pass this along. 6 sources who spoke with Reuters. There's a lot of people that will just willy-nilly, and they talk about loose lips sink ship. People will say loose lips sink ships to us if we say like, "Hey, there was just a big deployment." But yet, nobody worries about MSM getting this crazy, crazy information all the time from anonymous sources. Those people are essentially being traitors. We don't ever, we never have somebody from what do you call it, Pentagon tell us what the heck is going on. We have to guess what's true of the MSM. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. So I think they, I almost want to say that the intelligence community. I was talking to NJM about this earlier. The intelligence community and the MSM are they're intertwined. They're almost the same thing. But nonetheless, hey, the other thing that's interesting though is the quote that's coming out of Iran in regard to this. So as you may recall, there were sanctions and we put on them back in February. They've been sanctions on them for years and years and years. There's been all sorts of controls around Iran and keeping them from doing certain things, especially shipping out drones and shipping out ballistic missiles. But they said, quote, "There will be more shipments," one Iranian official told Reuters. "There is no reason to hide it. We're allowed to export weapons to any country that we wish to." Okay. They are saying, we don't care about your sanctions. And they don't bother us. In other words, the US, the West, all of the people that want to put these sanctions on us have no effect. It has no longer has an effect on the other half of the world. The other half of the world is saying, we don't care about your sanctions anymore. Look at Russia. They thrived after the sanctions. They didn't hurt them. So I just it just makes me, reiterate the fact that we sort of roll our eyes every time we hear about new sanctions because they just never seem to work. And case in point, they're sticking their nose right up at this and saying, you know what, we're still going to do it. We don't care. We have the right, and we'll do whatever we want.
As always, and Iran is heavily involved. All of the other stories that have been popping out lately, Iran is a wild card. And before we move on, make sure to go check out Energy. This is our recommendation. If you don't have a backup power supply, by the way, I tweeted, side note, I tweeted these micro houses. Now, I know a lot of people are torn on the agenda around tiny homes because a lot of us are looking at this and they're like, yeah, they're telling people basically you can't afford a big home. Now you can move into these tiny homes, essentially because nobody can afford a house anymore. And this does have something to do with this. But I will say I was blown away by this thing. You can actually get these, and Dex, apparently you saw them already, but they are foldable. They come about the size of a container. They're not made out of a container. They're made prefabbed, and they almost have like the the doors that open that have the hydraulic thing at the top that keeps them open or closes the that kind of thing. Only they come this skinny like a container, and then the walls fold out, the back walls fold out, the sides fold up like an awning, and then they all perfectly fit. And it's actually a pretty big house. And it comes with a furnished floor and bathroom and all the piping for a kitchen and all that. And it's like, they say $20,000 on Amazon. They were listing from like $8,000 for the smaller one to $15,000 for the big one. I'll have to show you some images at the end, but I was like, seriously, if I was on my own, if I didn't have a big family, I would live in one of those in a second. But I'm just wondering, like, how much are those going to be the future? If you've ever seen like Ready Player One, something like that, where they stacked the trailers on top of each other, I could almost see them doing that with these. But as far as not losing power and things, as far as what's going on right now, a lot of folks are really stuck out in the cold. We've been hearing from so many people that are losing their power right now. people don't have a backup. And one thing I saw that they had with those is like they come, there's packages where you can get actual generators built in, things like this, basically everything in one. If you don't have built-in generators and you don't have a folding house, then I'd highly recommend going over and getting an energy solar generator. The reason why is if we do lose power, if our grid goes down, if it's hacked or anything else, one of these you can hook up some solar panels to and get power coming in at all times during the day. Not only that, it goes into the battery stores for when you do need it. When nothing is wrong, you can have all of your batteries being charged, have it full, keep them topped off, and then when the power goes out, you can flip everything back on. In fact, this is actually has a UPS attachment. It has lots of them. It's modular. You can put a UPS attachment to where when your power goes out, it will immediately switch over and everything will continue working as usual. So this thing is really cool because it's as minimal as you want it, or it's as big as you want it. You can have up to 96 batteries. You can expand it with multiple different performance enhancers like superchargers, rapid charger with UPS. Again, and there's tons of future things coming to this that once you get the head unit, you can actually add on to. So it's very cool, just like Lego, you can add to it. I would highly recommend getting the tactical. That is the direction they're moving with the 1,500-pound latches, built-in battery heaters, steel frame. This thing is tough as a tank. This is literally just won the STTR Phase 2 contract. It's going out with the U.S. Army. The U.S. Army is going to be getting these. So this company is a really, really incredible company as far as it goes. All of the components are absolutely amazing. And again, this is silent. It does not take gas. You do not have to store flammable gas. And if the gas stations don't work, which they won't if the power goes out, you won't have to worry about that. You'll have everything contained. Highly recommend getting yourself some folding panels. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Expect a wait. Right now, again, there's generators that are comparable that you could get on Monday, but I would not do it. Again, go look for yourself. When I chose what companies I wanted to represent, I did not want to choose anything that was going and basically feeding right back to an adversary country. And right now, there are certain countries that control most of the lithium. So this one is not going to go directly back to those guys, but it will take a little bit of a wait. It's a smaller company that makes small batches of the most high quality generators out there. So much rather have something that turned on every time. And again, that's the only thing the Army cares about. They don't care if it's pretty. They care if it turns on every time. marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle, not only to give us support, but also to get yourself a huge discount. Kenny Cam says, happy birthday, Uncle Dex. That's awesome. Kenny, hey, it's so nice to see you in chat. I'm busy doing your music. And again, got awesome stuff. Domenico Lavara, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Tammy Lee says, longtime listener, I love every single one of you and wish nothing but happiness and safety for all of us. Glad to be a part of the Foogle family. Tammy Lee, thank you. And thank you for being part of the Mafia. All right. And moving forward, we've got Privacy. We've got the Privacy. The Privacy on the moon. The private U.S. moon lander reaches lunar orbit ahead of touchdown attempt. I know I can hear people humming and hawing. It's not actually there. It's made of cheese. But that's what they're saying. They're saying that this thing is about to land tomorrow. Dex, what are we predicting? I predict what if they accidentally crash into it, or they say there was an anomaly, a slight anomaly, and it exploded,
or it lands on one of the other ships that crashed there already. Yeah.
What if it lands and there's already Chinese bodegas set up, and they're like smoking outside of it? Like, what is this thing?
Exactly. Or somebody comes out from the dark side of or the backside, however you want to phrase it, and takes it out. But yes, they're supposed to be, this is all part of Artemis. It's all part of this ongoing mission to eventually go to Mars, but really to get a base station set up on the moon. And of course, who gets there first will probably try to claim some rights. And I think that's why we're seeing this massive rush, not just to put probes there, and not just to put a person there to step off and look around and look good on TV, and then come back home, but to literally set up a base there or a space station, much like the ISS, is what they want, so that there's a foothold on it, and then they can claim it. Now they're all shooting for the south area, the south pole of the moon, because that's where they claim the water would be, and that would be important for them if they're going to sustain time there, having access to water or having access to the ability to produce water. So we'll see. This is just a probe. It's supposed to land. I don't know what the odds are if it's going to pull it off, but the others have had trouble. I think Japan was the last one. It did land, but then it didn't get power, and they were hoping to get it back, and they were able to get a few things, including
Battery died.
an amazing picture. Like, how do you get the picture of it landing? But apparently, they had a rover that jumped off of the device and took
It was
a
a
picture.
ball.
So, or somebody was over there with a Nikon, but who knows?
It was a little ball. It was it was like a puzzle ball. That's what it looked like. And it had a camera inside. They got a high definition picture of the rover, but the rover didn't send any high definition pictures. Even though the power died, the battery died, and they said the solar panels didn't work. It was janky as hell. But the little ball camera did work. My question is, if they could fit a little camera that was so high definition that worked that well, why don't we have a 24/7 camera on the moon? All of the things they've sent up there, all of the things we've sent to the farthest planets that they've said that they've gotten us to, why is there no 24/7 feed of the entire Earth just floating around? That's what I don't understand. Also, but you understand that they're saying that Elon and this whole thing is all tied in together. They say they are getting people off of Earth onto the moon, and then they're going to launch to Mars, and they want to have 1 million people self-sustainable on Mars by 2029. Is something going to happen to Earth where all of the rich are going to restart over on Mars? Elon talks about it passing the Great Filter. I actually just talked to Jacob Israel is actually doing a video on. Apparently, he did a test to see if Elon would respond to him on Twitter, or basically copy what he did. And exactly 222 days later, he did basically the same tweet after Jacob. So he's doing a video on that, I'm sure. But basically the theory is that Elon watches end of the world channels like myself and Israel and a bunch of others. But he talks about the Great Filter, and Jacob said, the Great Filter, the end of civilization. And this is something that, sounds silly. It sounds tinfoil hat. But some of the most respected and most powerful people in the world are preparing, and you see the way they're preparing, it looks like they're preparing for the end of civilization. Bill Gates has a bunker under all of his homes. You've got Zuckerberg building a $270 million mansion. You've got Rick Ross and all of these people that are actually connected, that have friends in the president, in the White House. They're all building these bunkers. The bunker industry has all of a sudden, out of the blue, and it's not just because of the conflict, over the last few years, has 1,000x'd, and it's just been skyrocketing. And now all of these people are building these bunkers. Why? That's what I want to know. And are they actually going to Mars, or again, is that going to be what they tell us? It's really crazy to think about what they're saying they're going to do. You don't have to believe that they're going to do it, but think about the world we're in, where the accepted facts, the approved non-fake news, is that we are leaving Earth in the next 6 years or 5 years. Is that just a little nuts? And that we have brain chips implanted into our heads that can control things remotely. I mean, this is something beyond what our sci-fi movies predicted. Dex, do you want to go over let's I'm going to have me on there. So do you want to just talk about how set this video up real quick?
Yeah, sure. So this I don't know how this actually happened a while back, but I guess the video had recently come out. We saw it over on Raws, and I don't know where the actual source is. And there's actually, when you do pull it up, Adam, there's follow up too. There's like some other photographs down below that you can see what's happening. This is the actual intersection in Wisconsin where this Amazon driver was leaving that house there on the left. There's a train track crossing through there, and apparently, I don't know if he was stuck on the track. I haven't listened to his interview because I just saw the video and was like, wow, that was amazing. What happened to him? But a train went head to head with an Amazon truck, and you guys can see exactly what happened.
Yeah, let me pause this real quick, and I've got to make sure that we add this here. So, all right, so do this to protect, make sure it's fair usey here. All right, so check this out. So the guy is sitting there in his truck. Why did they do that? And then you see about here, there is some sort of accident, and boom, you see about halfway through, it's all messed up, and you see the train flying by, and it's continuing to go. And about here, it clears up, and he is sitting in an Amazon van with absolutely no back. Now, the crazy, crazy part is this guy at the beginning is just driving his truck, average. Hey, I'm going to drop a package off at your door, which, by the way, there are dozens of people who did not get their package and probably are complaining, going, where is my package? It said here it would be here today, and now it says tomorrow. Little did they know that the driver basically was the luckiest man on earth. Boom. I mean, go from this in his truck to this sitting with no back whatsoever. And here is an updated set of pictures here. This is how lucky this guy needs to go play the freaking lotto. Look at that. Are you kidding me? That is insanity. This guy is probably one of the luckiest men on earth. How did it so cleanly tear the back off without affecting the front? I'm guessing it's because of how those vans are made, how they are welded together, like they've taken the front and they've extended it, or they've made a custom van like that. What is your guess? How was it so clean? I mean, there shouldn't there be a rod I guess it's front wheel drive most likely, but shouldn't there be a drive rod from the front to the back that would have spun him around an extra bit? I mean, it was so fast and so clean that the guy is still sitting there, could eat a sandwich while he waited for police. I don't even think by how it looks, I mean, he might get whiplash, but holy jamoli. What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, we've attached that video over on marfooglenews.com. Dex, I mean, that guy should go play slots or go play the lotto or something.
Yes, certainly. I also question, like, is there a crossing, those crossing arms? Probably not, because when you look at the map, it doesn't look like, I guess it is a road. It is a road. It's just the driveway is off to the side. But this is probably a remote area or part of Wisconsin where maybe they don't have those crossing arms that go up and down that tell you don't come on the track. And, wow, scary incident.
It looks like what angle was he at when it hit it? Was he straight across or was he trying to turn around on the tracks? Is this his fault? There is an interview. You guys can go watch it over on the Twitter. We've attached that so you can go see the full story. But it's like, holy moly. In this case, the airbags could have almost hurt him more. If the airbags pushed him back, he could have been hit by the train. It does look like the airbags deployed, but luckily it didn't push him back further. I mean, think about that. If there's nothing behind you, the airbags could have pushed him and hit the train. He was that close. Absolutely a miracle. So I wonder if that guy is now newfound something. All right, and Kenny Cams, thanks again. Thank you for that. And then everybody that wished Dex a happy birthday, thank you guys. Thank you, Domenico Lavara, Tommy Lee, Schaefer Girl, Neil Nelson. Appreciate that. Over on D Live, thank you, Jay Winch 99, the Mafia fam. Thank you so much for the Ninja Genie. Life is Better on Stilts. Thank you for the Ninja Genie as well. Thank you, Life is Better on Stilts as well. Early in the show, thank you. Kiki Gray, Laura Griffith. We've got Skyhouse Gem. Kiki Gray, one on B, coming in late, but I brought a shiny thing, and of course, Fractured Fusion, CJ7, and Beer Juice. Thank you, and everyone else over on the D Live fam over there. Thank you, Durango X Nibiru. We've got Tango 0426, and again, the end is near. Thank you, and thank you. Dex, thank you so much today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And before we go, I hope have you switched it off yet?
Oh, no.
Okay. Happy non-copyrighted birthday to you. Happy 50, and many more.
Thank you, Adam, and everybody in chat. Thank you for all the wonderful wishes. This is a big week for me. So yeah, turning 50, and I appreciate all of the love, and much love to all of you.
Thank you guys. Much love. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's time for Jams. Join us over on Jams if you'd like. Looks like Life is Better on Stilts is our top supporter tonight over on D Live. Thank you guys. All right, let's make a fresh one for Life is Better on Stilts. Thank you to your mods. Make sure to go follow them over on marfooglenews.com/friends.